This week's channel message from the angels gives us much more depth of understanding about what's going to happen during the flash of light as we are going through the shift in consciousness. They're helping us to see that during the process where we are separating from our karma, how we will be going through what can be best described as a life review. So it's a gorgeous, very poetic message this time. There are some amazing passages I cannot wait to share with you guys. So welcome back to my channel, you guys. I am so happy you are here. And thank you so much to those of you who went ahead and I had asked you to write reviews for my book, and you guys crushed it. You guys, we went way. My goal was 100, and because that's how many you need on Amazon to be a recommended book, and you guys blew past it, and I'm so grateful. And not only did you guys leave reviews, but you left beautiful reviews, like full on, like thoughtful. Anyways, I seriously thank you so much. I'm super, super grateful. And we will do a live Q&A, and I will be giving you guys the information on how to join. So I'll share it here with you guys, and then I'll put a link on my website, and we'll pick a date for that and give you guys enough notice to make sure you guys can make it so we can talk about the book. So anyway, so thank you so much for that, you guys. And welcome to those of you who are new to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Ann Tucker. I'm a trance channel. I channel from the angelic realm. And I do that by raising my awareness. I go into a deep meditative state or trance. And from that state, I raise my awareness as high as I can go. And then I stretch a little higher. And then I bring in messages and healing from the angels. And I share it here with you guys on YouTube. And this week's message is, as I said, beautifully poetic, and it's one in a series of messages we've gotten, most of which are in my new book, which is all about the shift in consciousness. And it breaks it down with all of the events that were leading up to the shift and then what happens during the shift. And it is now available finally on Kindle, you guys. So finally, and for those of you who don't know it, this is the book. It's called What's Coming Next. This is what it looks like. And it is on Amazon now, and it's in Kindle version too. And I wanted to say, by the way, somebody posted a workbook based on my book, which I did not write, which is not from me. And I don't know, I'm assuming it's AI generated. I just wanted you to know because I didn't want you to be misled. He used my name. He put my name is on the cover. It looks like I wrote it. I did not. So there is no workbook on it. And I know that a couple of you have bought it, and I'm sorry for that, I've tried to contact Amazon and tell them that that's the case. I don't think there's no harm in it in terms of you having the workbook. And if it's helpful, all the better, but I have no idea. And I hate the idea that you would purchase something from me thinking that it was going to be good. And what if it's not? And I have no idea because I'm not going to buy it. So, but yeah, so I just, anyways, just for that, so you know, anybody who finds it, I don't know what the quality of that workbook is. And like I said, I'm pretty sure it was AI generated, and I put in a complaint to Amazon. So we'll see. Anyways, but that aside, the book has all those messages in it specifically about the shift in consciousness. This is one more to add, again, much more layered and nuanced understanding about it. And I know you guys are going to love it. So, all right. I hope you guys have an amazing, amazing weekend. And here is the message. This world is in waiting, a blessed pause, a sacred moment, a time apart to remember. Within the space of these days, within which you are tranquil, you will celebrate who you are, where you stand, how you have been held. And in the days that are coming, all will still be held sacred, but there shall be turmoil. And we would say, in exchange of this chaos, which is forming, that you shall remember your tranquility and draw this into your heart and say in your stable thoughts, in your frame of reference, you are called down into memory and can take part in your own wholeness still within. We bring to you the thoughts of surrender once more, the thoughts of your own vacating that which has been pronounced, that which has been held as solid, that which you have counted upon. We bring these thoughts to your mind, to your hearts, to your bodies. The thought of surrender, the thought of foregoing what was once held as important, how the soul, the self, must rise above what is injury, what has been damaging, what has been turmoil. The soul is a reservoir of such depth and perception that it cannot be held in a jar. It cannot be held in a moment. It must be elevated into the expression of a lifetime. It must be drawn into the fullness of each day, in each second, and it must feel itself to evolve because of it. The soul cannot be settled into a separated state of disharmony or disunion. It reaches forward always into forwarding its own truth. Thus, as you are able to remember to draw forward into you these now moments where you are stable, where all that has been still is, that ever was, you shall feel yourselves made into layers. The layers of truth of your own body contain the riddles of every generation, of each thought process, of each home and each occupant. You contain the riddles of what it is to be human. And though the times are changing, though the soul can feel separated, can feel isolated, though the soul may wish to break apart and take only what is offered in memory and not what goes forward from here, we say you shall open yourself more in the lack of inhibition that you shall feel to become yourself in the new moments. The chaos of the world is but a construct for your memory to dissolve its attachments to what is, for the soul to open itself into evolution. It paves the way, it opens the door, it allows you to pass through, to let go, to disassemble what has been disharmony and open your heart to a new way of celebration. There shall come a time in the not far future where you shall rest upon the thought of what you have become and be satisfied and feel yourselves well pulled into a directionality that improves with every moment. But in the times that are coming, in the disestablishment of what has been, there shall be moments within the voyage where you wish to return to what was. And these memories you hold now as sacred, as stationary, as stable, as the thoughts of what you are capable of and what can continue. These shall be leaned into, relied upon. And we ask the self to draw these not into your future, not pull them into what becomes of you, but merely to rest within the dialogue of self, that there is peace available. There is the settled nature of the self that you know. You know who you are in times that are dormant. And what will move through you is who you are in times of change. The blessings that are coming, the openings of doors shall be celebrated, for there is within them a new dialogue of understanding, a greater way within which you can be made. You are striving forward into the next now without the full comprehension of what it shall become. And you hold within your heart a promise we have made, which is that you shall evolve into a higher expression of yourself. And this is true. And you shall find within your heart what has lain dormant, the newest expression of the soul that you are, the higher dimensionality which shall come into its own fruition. And through the portal, through the doorway, which is partly open now, yes, which just begins, the light, the crack in its exterior begins to show. You shall find yourselves to be broadening, strengthening, growing into the harmony of which we are speaking. You are one who has come to earth, this time, this moment, not in delineated time frames, but in this specific one, in this soul's voyage, for the purpose of the continuity of humanity, for the purpose of showing yourselves as beings who can grow into harmony from the separated state of disunion, who can re-emerge into unity. You have within the blueprint of the souls as you are made, the instructions that you came with, which are the counterbalancing of what you have been, how to balance what is internal so that harmony can be made from what is within you. This recipe, as it has been laid down within the instructions of your very own DNA, within your own internal structure, you shall call to point what has been required for your own soul, your own self, to lay down what has been hardship. You shall draw this to you in the moments of separation from what is now. You have a specific blueprint, a specific pattern which has been made within your own harmonious soul. It is the scheduling of your own impact on this earth, how you may take part in and understand the great dramas of your own construction. What are the parts that you would play? How will you unfold? How will you discover what has lain in secrecy within the subconscious layers of your own understanding? And these partitions and forays will come to terms with themselves quite quickly within the context of the patterning which has previously been created for yourselves. This is what multiplies within the mid-heaven of the greatest orchestration of light upon this earth. As it comes into your soul, into the depth of your physical structure, it reenacts these plans laid dormant, which have waited for this moment to comply with your own desire to ascend. And they shall call into presence that which shall bring you into balance, that which shall call to your farthest dimension, your weakest moment, your hardest time, and speak the words, the tales of triumph, of woe, of loss, which are needed to balance that which has waylaid your own progress. And within this construct, you shall feel yourself become heavy from the catastrophic unearthing of all which has been hardship and suffering within you. And you must rest and allow this process to take care of itself. You can and will be remade. And that which shall form within the morrow, upon the release of said dormant energies, you shall find yourself on a new path, in a new blessing, in a new way of being human. All which has been dormant, all which has been a construct of truth to which you have claimed, all shall be answered. All shall be made whole. All shall be brought into triangulation between what is then, what is now, what is self, what is knowledge. You shall come to terms with what has been your truth. And this shall come as awarenesses, which are brought into what seems to be solidity, though they are but epiphanies within your own thoughts. And they shall feel as solid as a new day. And you shall hold them, grasp them to you, as if all the soul's learning can be made in a moment and be held forever. But the truth of these times shall be set down and left behind, and you shall move into the new construction of the new humanity. In the spaciousness of that new day, you shall find yourselves in a moment and position of open discovery, of allowing what is and perceiving yourselves to evolve within it, through it, and from it. It shall be an impregnated moment of now, as if all that is a focal point within which you can be centered, and all that is will elaborate your truth. And within this spaciousness, you shall find yourself enjoying the process of creation. It shall become what is you, but not as it has been, not as it has been illustrated through struggles and triumphs. It shall instead be made for the benefit of all humanity and for the earth. It shall be brought through you for the justification of the human. It shall be made as an offering of presence, which comes from the disposition of your own soul. We speak to you now with these words of comfort, with these words of wholeness, with these words of sage wisdom, which is to say, please, in your own moments of congestion, when all feels too full and the day weighs heavy upon you, to set down and to blanket yourself in the peace we offer, and to take hold of what is new, and to recognize that in the catastrophes of a waylaid populace, there lies the potential for great strides coming. And then, okay, so let's go into the message. So the first thing they say, and this is interesting because they say this world is waiting, a blessed pause, a sacred moment, a time apart to remember. So the world is in waiting. So we're in a really interesting place right now where, you guys know, we just had a huge election in the United States, and I know that it had, like, there was people who were very, very polarized, and it was some people are really in grief, some people are really in celebration, but regardless, right now we're in a place where there's a known element where something that was uncertain for the longest time is now known. So in that space, all the dust settles, right? It was a peaceful transfer of power. Everything has been peaceful. And that's just the US, but there's this sense of the world. Yeah, there's chaos, and there's chaos over here, there's chaos over here, but there's this sense of like a breath, a little bit of a breath. And then in addition to that, that's implying that we have been in this place of peace for many, 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 many years, generations even, where we've gone through a period where we haven't had a big disastrous life cycle that we've been through, right? It's been 150 million years, whatever, where the earth has been, the continents have all been in the same place, the weather has been fairly predictable. All of that has been true. So this world is in waiting. A blessed pause, a sacred moment, a time apart to remember. Within the space of these days, within which you are tranquil, you will celebrate who you are, where you stand, how you have been held. And in the days that are coming, all will still be held sacred, but there shall be turmoil. So this is a little bit like, okay, and I just use the election as a way of illustrating it. They say that you will celebrate who you are, regardless of whether your candidate won or lost, or whether it wasn't an election you even cared about, if you were living somewhere else and you just aren't political, whatever. It is a place where you are in a place where you can just say, okay, it is what it is. and I celebrate me and I celebrate my feelings, regardless of whether or not I got the end that I wanted or not. If you did, then it's a good feeling. If you didn't, it's a different set of feelings. And to be in that space where you just say, whatever happened, I'm glad I'm me. I'm glad that I feel I have the feelings that I have, and I celebrate me in this process. And so where you stand, regardless of what that is, how you have been held. So how are you supported in the process? How are you feeling supported now as you're coming away from the process? Right. And then in the day, and then they say, so it's this idea that we need to celebrate who we are, just like in any game. At the end of a game, the competitors are supposed to come together and shake hands, and they tell each other good game. And they're meant to celebrate themselves regardless of how, like, did they win or lose at the end? What's important is how did you play the game? And so celebrate who you are. That's the idea. We're in the place of pause. Celebrate how you've lived your life. Celebrate the good things you did, the bad things you did. Celebrate you, right? That you made it here. That's the idea. So where you stand, how you have been held, how you've been supported in any way, spiritually, physically, all the things. And in the days that are coming, all will still be held as sacred. So you, your life, your journey, but there shall be turmoil. So a different level of turmoil is coming. And we would say, in exchange of this chaos which is forming, that you shall remember your tranquility and draw this to your heart and say in your stable thoughts, in your frame of reference, you are called down into memory and can take part in your own wholeness still within. So in other words, that when things are chaotic, that in the chaos that's forming, the chaos that's going to come, that you shall remember what it is to be tranquil, what it is to feel like I'm okay. And to have that in your heart and in your head, right? In your heart, in your head, to say in your stable thoughts, in your frame of reference, that you are called into memory. So you can plug into those thoughts of what your life is like and what you are like when you can count on the world being a certain way and what that feels like, right? And that can bring you into a set of feeling more stable inside. And then they say, we bring to you the thoughts of surrender once more. The thoughts of your own vacating that which has been pronounced, that which has been felt as solid, that which you have counted upon. We bring these thoughts to your mind, to your hearts, to your bodies. The thought of surrender, the thought of foregoing what was once held as important. How the soul, the self, must rise above what is injury, what has been damaging, what has been turmoil. So they say, on one hand, they say, okay, we have these thoughts or these memories of what it's like to live in a time that's more peaceful, what it's like to live in a time where the grocery store, you just literally go down the street and the craziest imports from the farthest country are just sitting there, and there's 15 choices of them, and it's been a life of plenty and a life of ease for the most part, right? Where you can get a caramel macchiato, you know what I mean? And that we have that memory inside of us of what that has been, and good and bad, that we have that memory. And then they say, and now they're saying, and we want to bring you back to the thought of surrender, that we recognize the peace and why the peace, the feelings are valuable, but now we have to surrender the caramel macchiato, right? We have to surrender the grocery stores full of 15 billion different things from different countries available to us. So this next paragraph is the one that I highlighted. Just listen to this, you guys. This is so insanely beautiful. All right, I'll read it. It says, the soul is a reservoir of such depth and perception that it cannot be held in a jar. It cannot be held in a moment. It must be elevated into the expression of a lifetime. It must be drawn into the fullness of each day, in each second, and it must feel itself to evolve because of it. The soul cannot be settled into a separated state of disharmony or disunion. It reaches forward always into the forwarding of its own truth. Boom. Like, I love that. I love that paragraph. And to me, like, it's saying to us, like, a beautiful description. It's saying that the soul is so big and so powerful and has so much, like, this depth and perception, right, that we can't understand it. We can't hold it in a jar and see it like a science experiment, right? It's just too big. We can't understand it from our human perspective, right? It cannot be limited to the now. Like, we can't say, right now, I want to freeze this moment. Like, everything is perfect. I love right now. Freeze! You know, and we can't do it. It can't be held in a moment. That it must be elevated, right? And expressed over the course. It takes a whole life to express your soul, right? It takes the fullness of the entire journey. Every single second has to be there in order for you to be able to bring your soul into this body. It has to be that big. It has to be every second of the whole life, or it's just not big enough to hold your soul. And then they say, so it has to be drawn into the fullness of every day, right? Every moment, every second, right, is important in order to have the capacity to hold the enormity of your soul, right? And it must feel itself evolve because of it. So it can't come into a static expression. It has to come into a process of evolution. And that's what the body needs to be in order to harbor the soul. That it has to be an entire life that's in constant change in order for the soul to be able to be in it. Because and then they say this is why. They say the soul cannot be settled into a separated state of disharmony or disunion, which is what we are in currently. We are in a state of separation and disharmony. That is what it is to be human. But the soul can't stay in that. Like we can't just freeze the soul into that state, because that would be the death of a soul. The soul, it reaches forward always into the forwarding of its own truth. That is what life is to a soul. It's constant evolution, constant moving forward, constantly recreating itself, right? Beautiful, profound, amazing passage. Love it. Like, thank you, poet angels. Like, amazing, right? All right. Next paragraph, they say, thus, as you are able to remember to draw forward into you these now moments where you are stable, where all that has been still is, that ever was, you shall feel yourselves made into layers. So in other words, so as we are currently in this moment where we can, and even as we enter into the flash of light, that we will be able to draw that feeling of stability, the feeling like when I say, if you feel fear, bring yourself back to your four walls and recognize you're safe, right? That is, to some degree, calling on your memories of peace. It's calling on the memory that, oh, wow, in this room, I've always been safe. I can feel safe here. This is a safe place because my experience tells me I've always been safe here. So thus, you are able to remember to draw forward into the now moment where that you're stable, that you're safe. You shall feel yourselves. So as we go into that, shall feel ourselves made into layers. So this is when they first start talking about the structure of our DNA, our soul, everything else. Super interesting, right? Okay. The layers of truth of your own body contain the riddles of every generation, of each thought process, of each home, of each occupant. You contain the riddles of what it is to be human. So in other words, we don't just contain the story of our own soul. We contain the story of all souls, of all humanity. And so this is getting back to that idea of unity and oneness, that we are one with everyone. And our body contains the riddles of every generation. So every life that's ever been lived, every human life that's ever been lived, right? Every thought process, every home, every occupant, everyone. It's all inside of you. So you contain the riddles of what it is to be human. So it's not just having it, it's making meaning from it. The riddles of what it is to be human. We're making meaning out of it. Comprehension, we're understanding ourselves better. This is the journey of the soul. And though the times are changing, though the soul can feel separated, can feel isolated, though the soul may wish to break apart and take only what is offered in memory and not what goes forward from here, we say you shall open yourselves more in the lack of inhibition that you shall feel to become yourself in the new moments. So what they're saying is, even if we have a momentary like this is scary, I don't know what it is. They said that when this happens, like even if we feel the desire to kind of separate from it, or we feel the fear and we want to turn around, they say that we will be helped because we will have this feeling of inhibition. Our fears will go away. And the angels have told us before that when the flash of light comes, they will surround us with an umbrella. They will cover us with an umbrella of peace. And so this is what it is. The peace puts you in a space of inhibition. It removes our sort of more earthy fears and helps us to see things more clearly outside of our film, our veil. We start to see things more clearly. And so you shall feel yourself, the lack of inhibition that you shall feel to become yourself in the new moment. So we will be helped by them, by this umbrella of peace, to help us lean into the new way of being, the birth of our new self inside of us. So, and Amanda says, yes, we are the living library of Earth. Absolutely. Yes. I think you're so right. It's like we are the Akashic record. Exactly. It's inside our bodies. Yeah. Amazing, right? We've always thought we have to go to some like sacred hall, but no, it's inside of us. Yeah. Okay, next paragraph, they say the chaos of the world is but a construct for your memory to dissolve its attachments to what is. Another amazing sentence there. The chaos of the world is but a construct for your memory to dissolve its attachments to what is. So this is the chaos of the world. This is all of our experience of suffering and everything is there to dissolve our memory. Memory is attachment. It's our belief systems, our thought. This is what it's always been. Therefore, this is what it will always be, right? That if there's a belief, I've always been the victim, or I've always been in poverty, or I've always been, the one that's left out. Those are memory that we dissolve. That's an attachment to an understanding about ourselves. It's our protections that we put up. The attachment to protecting ourselves from getting hurt again, right? That's memory. That's like a memory reflex. Oh gosh, that hurt last time. I don't want to do that again, right? That. The chaos of the world is there to dissolve those attachments, to help us encounter it so we have the chance to grow through it, to do it differently this time. For the soul to open itself into evolution, right? It paves the way. It opens the door. The chaos of the world. It paves the way. It opens the door. It allows you to pass through, to let go, to disassemble what has been disharmony, and open your hearts to a new way of celebration. And I love that. It's not just a new way of living, it's a new way of celebration. They've used that word a lot recently, talking about the new reality. This is definitely the feeling of celebration is one of the big vibrations that we're meant to tune into as we're going through the shift. There shall come a time in the not far future where you shall rest upon the thought of what you have become and be satisfied, and feel yourselves well pulled into a directionality that improves with every moment. So they're reassuring us here and saying, yep, it's safe to let go, that we will feel great about it. We'll feel great about who we were, who we are, and who we're becoming. Next paragraph, they say, but in the times that are coming, in the disestablishment of what has been, there shall be moments within the voyage where you wish to return to what was. And they've told us this before, that it's human, it's natural, where we're going to miss the things that we've become accustomed to. There's been some really nice things about life, that you're going to miss. And they say, and these memories you hold now as sacred, as stationary, as stable as the thoughts of what you are capable of, and what can continue, these shall be leaned into, relied upon. So it's those thoughts that we're talking about from the beginning, the places where we find our safety. And we're going to lean into that, and we're going to say, I want to feel safe again. And we're going to yearn for this feeling of safety, right? And we're going to yearn for what is known, because it's going to be so unknown. And then here is an important next paragraph. They say, and we ask the self to draw these not into your future, not pull them into what becomes of you, but merely to rest within the dialogue of self that there is peace available. So in other words, they're saying they want us, they understand the memories are there, that the memories are comfortable. What they want us to do is not get attached to why we felt peace, just get attached to the idea that we can feel peace. To see those in those old memories, see those old memories as evidence that we have the capacity to live in harmony, peace, to feel safe, and and not be attached to how it showed up. So it's also like you're saying to yourself is that I commit myself to feeling peaceful and to feeling safe, and I am open to however that safety is going to present itself. And it doesn't have to present itself in the way it always has. So it's like parsing the memory, saying I'm taking the feeling of safety, but I'm not clinging to the expression of safety, to how I became safe, right? Or peaceful is a good word. So merely to rest within the dialogue of self that there is peace available. There is the settled nature of the self that you know. You know who you are in times that are dormant. And what will move through you is who you are in times of change. So there's the reinforcing here. It's like feel that you are peaceful, feel that you are safe, and recognize that you're going to be going through a period of change. Next paragraph. The blessings that are coming, the openings of doors shall be celebrated. Again, that word celebrated. And they said this is the energy that the angels will be holding as they're helping to guide us through the shift is the energy of celebration, which is why we want to tune into that to help us connect with the angels better as we're going through this process. For there is within them a new dialogue of understanding, a greater way within which you can be made. You are striving forward into the next now without the full comprehension of what it shall become. And you hold within your heart a promise we have made, which is that you shall evolve into a higher expression of yourself. And this is true. And so they're pointing out here that we are doing a fairly deep difficulty dive here. Like, this is not an easy thing that we're doing, is we're trying to embrace something that we don't even really know fully what it is. We're just trusting. And that this is a major trust fall to say, okay, I believe you guys, it's going to be way better. Let's go and lean in, right? And dive into it. But we don't really know. They say we're striving forward into the next now without a full comprehension of what it shall become. So they're really honoring us in that this is an experience of trust and faith. And then they go on to say, and you shall find within your heart what has lain dormant, the newest expression of the soul that you are, the higher dimensionality which shall come into its own fruition. And through the portal, through the doorway, which is partly open now, yes, which just begins, the light, the crack in its exterior begins to show. You shall find yourselves to be broadening, strengthening, growing into the harmony of which we are speaking. So they're really reinforcing, like, they know that we're trying to leap into the unknown, and they're really trying to reassure us, like, hey, you can feel it now. It's happening already. Like, it's going to be great and you're going to make it, right? You're going to make it. So then they go on to say, you are one who has come to earth, this time, this moment, not in delineated time frames, but in this specific one. So I had to look up, and then they say, in this soul's voyage, for the purpose of the continuity of humanity. So delineated is another way of saying layers, right? The layers of the soul, the layers of the self. Delineated means clear boundaries and edges described clearly. So so you are one who has come to earth, this time, this moment, not in delineated time frames, but in this specific one. So in other words, like, if you are made of layers inside of you and you are a multidimensional being, that you are living in many different layers at once, many delineated time frames, this lifetime, this specific time frame that you're in right now, this is the one, right? This is the one of this part of your voyage, this specific time frame, timeline, whatever you want to call it, for the purpose of the continuity of humanity. Humanity continues from this life. Interesting, right? For the purpose of showing yourselves as beings who can grow into harmony from the separated state of disunion, who can re-emerge into unity, right? This is the whole point of it. All right, next paragraph. They say, you have within the blueprint of the souls as you are made the instructions that you came with, which are the counterbalancing of what you have been. Very interesting, right? That we have instructions inside of us that counterbalance, like, think of it, all of our wounds, all of our belief systems that get in the way of ourself being fully connected to our higher selves. For each one of those, we have a recipe to counterbalance that. So if we have a belief that I'm not enough, we have a recipe that will balance that belief, and it's inside of us, right? Which is very interesting. And that recipe has been, so far, the plan for our life. So the recipe basically says, okay, you have this belief that you're not good enough. We're going to put you into a life on earth where we're going to bring forward that belief. And then we're going to give you a bunch of experiences that are intended to balance that belief, to let you realize that you are good enough and that you can have the experiences that made you feel that way, but not believe it anymore. That you can have the memories of it, but then also have the awareness that you are this incredible multidimensional divine being, and you can bring those two into harmony. And so we each have a recipe inside of us. You have within the blueprint of souls as you are made, the instructions you came with, which are the counterbalancing of what you have been. How to balance what is internal so that harmony can be made from what is within you. So this is the point of life, is to try to bring into balance all the stuff we've been, right? And to learn about ourselves in the process. That's been the goal. This recipe, as it has been laid down within the instructions of your very own DNA, within your own internal structure, you shall call to point. So the recipe is there it's almost like this is your soul song that is then creating your life from within you. But when we go through the flash of light, it's almost like the recipe is like one thing that you can say, okay, rather than having this play out over a whole life, I'm going to bring it into this moment right now. I'm going to get the cliff notes and I'm going to bring the recipe card, whatever it is, and I'm going to bring it all right here into this moment. Right? And they say, you shall call to point what has been required of your own soul, your own self, to lay down what has been hardship. You shall draw this to you in the moments of separation from what is now. So in the moment of the flash of light, you get to bring this recipe, which was meant to be lived over the course of a whole life. You get to bring it into the current moment and act on it in the now moment. They say you have a specific blueprint, a specific pattern, which has been made within your own harmonious soul. So your higher self made this. Your harmonious soul is your higher self made this blueprint for you in the hope that you could balance and come to terms with and learn about yourself. It is the scheduling of your own impact on this earth. So the scheduling, right? Scheduling is across the course of your life, this event, this event, this event, and how you're going to impact others as well, right? Your impact. How are you going to experience your life on earth? How you may take part in and understand the great dramas of your own construction. What are the parts that you would play? How will you unfold? How will you discover what is lain in secrecy? Within the subconscious layers of your own understanding. So this has been a blueprint to bring all the subconscious stuff to the surface by living it. And then they go on to say, and these partitions and forays will come to terms with themselves quite quickly within the context of the patterning which has previously been created for yourself. So they're saying this recipe created by your higher self, which normally we would live over the course of the lifetime. Think of it as like a recipe card of how to balance out all the things that we carry that prevent us from connecting to our higher self. We bring that recipe card into the exact moment of our shift in consciousness, right? And because we have it in that now moment, we get to come to terms with ourselves that all these places where we are separated come to terms with themselves quite quickly within the context of the patterning, which is the recipe, which has been previously created for yourself. This is what multiplies within the midheaven of the greatest orchestration of light upon this earth. So when the flash of light comes, it expands this process. And so they say it multiplies within the midheaven. That's one of the angel words of the day, midheaven. And it means many things. And it means the obvious, like mid-heaven, in the middle of heaven, which is the mid-heaven would mean the center of the sky. So the flash of light when it's centered above you, but it's also you are bringing in heaven on earth. You are in the middle of heaven as the light comes. Awesome, right? Awesome. So, okay. So then it also means mid-heaven is an astrology term, which basically means what is your public persona, your goals in life, your reputation, how you present in the world, the lasting mark that you will make in the world. So what multiplies within the midheaven? So the midheaven in this case means who you are in this life, right? What is it that how are you going to be outwardly in this world? So this is what it's multiplying that. It is the internal stuff about who am I, right? That is what midheaven means in astrology. So, and it's at the moment when it's, the flash of light is at your midheaven when you are in the middle of heaven. And midheaven also means the most powerful or zenith, right? So it is the most powerful light. And then it also means that it is the point of sky directly above the observer, right? So like every single meaning, it's awesome, but that's what it means. So this is what multiplies within the midheaven of the greatest orchestration of light upon the earth. So beautiful, right? Love it. Love how they speak. And then they go on to say, as it comes into your soul, into the depth of your physical structure, it reenacts these plans laid dormant, which is like the recipe for your life, which have waited for this moment to comply with your own desire to ascend. So it's literally like you get to call it all in right then in that moment. And then they go on to say, and they shall call into presence that which shall bring you into balance. So this is what I call the life review. They call into presence. So you get to be present with all of it. So it's like a life review, right? So that brings you that which shall bring you into balance, that which shall call to your farthest dimension, your weakest moment, your hardest time, and speak the words, the tales of triumph, of woe, of loss, which are needed to balance that which has waylaid your own progress. So think of it like this. So what if you came into this world with a karmic judgment against yourself, where you said, wow, in a last life, I did something really mean to someone. Let's just say you undermined someone's project that out of jealousy. Let's just say that in a past life, your soul did that you undermined someone out of jealousy. So then in this life, you're like, okay, well, I feel really bad I did that. I'm going to then have someone do that to me so that I can really learn the lesson and never do it again. And so you have a plan in your life. It's in there in your recipe saying that you're going to balance that judgment by having that experience. So in this moment, you get to call that into presence, and you will feel what it is to have that happen to you. And it will become present, and you'll be like, oh, this is what, and you, so it's like literally bringing that karma here so you don't have to experience it out in the world. So it's like a life review where you get to, so it's whatever recipe is required, you get to come into balance. So does that make sense? And it's all in a moment. It happens very quickly, they said. And it comes into presence, which means we will be aware of it. Yeah. So then they say, so whatever experience we design for ourselves, whatever thing we thought we needed to experience, we are able to balance. And then they say, and within this construct, you shall feel yourself become heavy from the catastrophic unearthing of all which has been hardship and suffering within you. So this is that heaviness in the body when they've been telling us when this happens, lay down, just wherever you are. And my understanding is when the flash of light comes, you will have time to, like, if you're at the grocery store, like, I believe you will be able to just like go home safely, because it's not going to come and like, it's not like it's, when we say flash, I think we think it's going to be over. I think it's coming for a while. Like, it's going to be here for a while. Like I don't know if it ever goes, to be honest. I don't know. But it's like a period. So you will have time to like get into a place and lay down, and then like, but that's my understanding of it. They have never actually told me that, because as you know, the angels don't know time. But my understanding is that we will have the opportunity to lay down, because that is the design, right? We're meant to lay down, rest, get heavy, and just let your body and let yourself separate. And this process of separation is what's going to be happening in our head. It sounds like we will be experiencing a crazy life review. Yeah. And so it's a catastrophic unearthing of all which has been hardship and suffering within you. And you must rest and allow this process to take care of itself. And so what's interesting about this is they're saying that this isn't a thing where we necessarily heal. Like when we think of healing right now, what healing means to us is learning about our soul. Healing is the process of experiencing ourselves in the world and understanding us at deeper and deeper and deeper layers, understanding why we are the way that we are. What are the experiences that formed us, and how do we then play that out in our world? And how do we come to terms and accept those parts of ourselves and bring them back into our center, into love, where we don't repress any experiences? That process, it just takes time, right? We have to go through it. And certainly that's what soul convergence is for. Soul convergence guides you through that process in a way that helps you do it very quickly. But it's through the process of experiencing, through letting the self come, bringing up the stuff in the self-conscious, so we move through it, not around it. This is a process where we get to balance everything, and we get to move beyond the karmic system. But it is not a free pass. It doesn't mean that when this comes that we get all the learning that we would have had. It means that it's literally like I've been describing it, like we are in the school of earth right now, and we have a book, textbook, that is the school of life, and we are in the process of trying to read and assimilate that whole book. And when we get to the flash of light, we get to close the book, right? And we get to set the book down. But we no longer have to carry that book, which means we get to move to a higher frequency, but we only get to have the knowledge that we've read so far. And then we will start learning from a new perspective. But in order for us to do it, they have to bring us into balance. So we get to go through this process. I imagine it's going to be like flashcards going by in your head. It's going to be like whoosh. That's my expectation. It's literally a recipe card where they're going to be like, here it is. But think of it like this. Like there's a huge difference between reading a recipe and baking a cake. And that's the difference. We get to use the recipe card. We don't get to bake the cake. Make sense? So it's still a great idea to do everything you can, as they've been saying, to work on your own healing right now. And by healing, those of you who are like, what is exactly healing? It is the process, as I said, of coming to terms with everything you've ever said, done, or experienced so that you can love all parts of yourself. Yeah, and everyone needs to do it. There is no one on earth who does not need to go through that process. Yeah. So then they say, and so I think it's amazing. He basically said you get to kind of just lay there and it takes care of itself, which is like, thank you. That sounds like my kind of healing. That sounds nice. They go on to say, you can and will be remade. And that which shall form within the morrow, in other words, tomorrow, upon the release of said dormant energies, you shall find yourself on a new path, in a new blessing, in a new way of being human. All which has been dormant, all which has been a construct of truth to which you have claimed, all shall be answered. All shall be made whole. In other words, all of those things that are unresolved, everything gets answered, everything is made whole, right? And you're brought into balance. All shall be brought into triangulation between what is then, what is now, what is self, what is knowledge. And you shall come to terms with what has been your truth. So you come out of this in a state of self-acceptance. So it's just that we don't have all the learning that we were hoping to get. But we get, the thing is like, not to be at all critical of us because we do our best. And the truth is that it is impossible to get all the learning in one lifetime. We're just trying to get as much as we can. That's all. We're just trying to wring out as much goodness as we can get before we go. So, but then when we get there, we will come into terms with our truth. And this means that we are divine beings. We connect with our higher selves is what that means. And this shall come as awarenesses which are brought into what seems to be solidity, though they are but epiphanies within your own thoughts. So how interesting they're describing this. They're saying that it will seem, as we're doing this, it may feel to you as if you are physically experiencing this in your head. So it may be like really vivid visions that you're having, right? It will seem as if these awarenesses which are brought into what seems to be solidity. So it may be like you literally will be like, oh my gosh, I'm walking through these experiences like a dream, like how a dream feels really real. And they say, though they are but epiphanies. Epiphanies are like aha moments. Oh wow, now I see myself. Right? And they shall feel as solid as a new day. So like I think it'll be like a dream state, like where it feels real. And you shall hold them, grasp them to you, as if all the soul's learning can be made in a moment and be held forever. And then they say, but the truth of these times shall be set down and left behind. So this is the book. They're saying, so we get to come into congruence as if we're getting everything, except we have to put the book down and then we get to move on. So they're saying it's kind of, we get the recipe card, but it's great because we do get to move. In other words, they're saying you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have finished everything in order to move to the higher state of frequency. So that's good. That's really good. So then they go on to say, and you shall move into the new construction of the new humanity. In the spaciousness of that new day, you shall find yourselves in a moment and position of open discovery, of allowing what is, and perceiving yourselves to evolve within it, through it, and from it. So this is the new reality. We will still be evolving, still be changing, but in a different way. It shall be an impregnated moment of now, as if all that is a focal point within which you can be centered. So this is what the experience is going to be as we go through this process of this life review. And all that is will elaborate your truth. And within this spaciousness, you shall find yourself enjoying the process of creation. It shall become what is you, but not as it has been. So this is after we get through it. It should become what is you, but not as it has been. Not as it has been illustrated through struggles and triumphs. It shall instead be made for the benefit of all humanity and for the earth. So this is one of the big changes we'll experience as we go through the shift when we're on the other side. That life won't be about encountering ourselves through struggle, which is kind of how we've had to learn. Instead, it's going to be about will be about manifesting who we are into the world for the benefit of all humanity and for earth. It shall be brought through you here's the interesting 2 more words of the day. It shall be brought through you for the justification of the human. It shall be made as an offering of presence, which comes from the disposition of your own soul. I love this. So this is what this means. It shall be brought. So this is the idea that, and they've told us one of our past messages, that when we are in the new state of consciousness, our way of being, of living will be very different. What we will be doing is we will be psychically tuning into, through our expanded telepathic emotions, through our hyper empathy, tuning into everyone around us and understanding what everybody needs. And then we will also tune into the earth and what the earth needs. And we will see where we fit in that puzzle. We will say, oh, you know what? What would make really everybody happy is a amazing vegan mushroom stroganoff. And I have the capacity to make that. And so I can create that. And the earth loves it because everybody eats and everybody poops and it gets fed. And I shouldn't have gone there, but you get my point, is that it would be like, this would make everybody happy and the earth happy too. And it can flow through me and I can make it. And then you'll be making it in joy, right? And then through the process of making it, you might discover that you don't have enough mushrooms, or you might discover that there's challenges. And so then you're forced to expand your ability to manifest and to create, and you have to come up against yourself, right, in terms of those challenges. And it's a new thing. It's the challenge to create. That's how we're going to grow. So it shall be brought through you for the justification of the human. Justification means the act of declaring or making righteous making righteous in the sight of God. And so forgive me for if you use another word beside God. God is my word. So please insert your own word. And this is the I think this was a biblical definition. It shall be brought through, I found it in the dictionary. It shall be brought through you for the justification of the human, which means the act of declaring or making righteous in the sight of God, showing something to be right. And showing something to be right is justification. So this is a little bit like, this is who I am, right? This is making myself, declaring yourselves, which means basically manifesting your soul into the world through your creative expression, right? It should be brought through you for the justification of the human. This is why humans exist, right? This is what a human is. Look at what I created. This is what I am. That's what it's going to be. Amazing, right? Okay, next word. It shall be made as an offering of presence, which comes from the disposition of your own soul. Disposition means the way something is arranged. It makes multiple meanings. The way something is arranged in relation to other things. So this is how you are in relationship to others and the earth, right? From the disposition of your soul compared to where you stand compared to others, right? Then it also means a person's inherent qualities of mind and character. What is your internal, what is your soul? What is your soul song? Your internal qualities. And so a disposition, sort of like someone's disposition is to be cheerful. So you are expressing your disposition, right, out into relationship with other people. And it also means the transfer or the care of possession from one to another. So you are giving. So three incredible, this is like my favorite word of the whole thing, because it says three things, all are very different, and they're telling a story. And the story is that you are creating your character or your disposition, which is who you are as a being, as a soul. What is your truth? You're making it potentially into a mushroom stroganoff. And you are sharing it in relationship to others. So you're tuning in, you're doing it in relationship to everyone. You're not creating in a void or a vacuum. You're creating within the context of everyone in the earth, right? So in disposition, which is your relationship to all of these other things. And you are giving the disposition of it, which is giving it. It is of service to others. Right? Amazing. Like perfect choice of words. Blows my mind, you guys. Blows my mind. Like so incredible. So, all right, then they say, last paragraph, they say, we speak to you now with these words of comfort, with these words of wholeness, with these words of sage wisdom, which is to say, please, in your own moments of congestion, when all feels too full and the day weighs heavy upon you, to set down and to blanket yourself in the peace we offer. So this is, they're saying when it happens, and I think this is two meanings. I think they're saying always, like whenever the world gets heavy, whenever things feel hard, to lay down and let them embrace you with peace. But especially when the flash of light comes, lay down and they will cover you an umbrella of peace, right? The peace we offer, and to take hold of what is new. So what will happen? They say, when it feels heavy, lay down, you'll be covered in the umbrella of peace, and we are to take hold of what is new, and to recognize that in the catastrophes of a waylaid populace, there lies the potential for great strides coming. So there's that again, focus, like see the phoenix rising from the ashes, rise into the new. Stunning message. I love this message, you guys. I love it. I love the way they communicate to us and how we understand. I feel the way some people say, like, why is it? Why do they speak in riddles? And I think this is part of the way that we understand their nature, right? They're speaking to us in a way that helps us start to grasp what it is to be an angel. Is they think this way. They think in this multi-layered, multi-dimensional consciousness all the time. And so by communicating to us this way, we have to do a little work, but it helps us. You have to. In any relationship, we got to toe the rope. We got to do our part to see what it is to be them. And that's what brings us closer, right? And so by communicating to us like this, we feel their vibration, we see a little bit of what it's like to see through their eyes. Totally amazing. It's been amazing to share the message. I hope you guys are going to have an amazing weekend. And I'm sending you guys tons of love. And I'll see you guys next Friday live. Bye, you guys.